Hello, Juno. I'm Ericka Lee, your host for tonight and every night that we have this show, actually. And I'd like to welcome you to Juno's open house. So, for all of the people who have been watching this series, you know that we have been, focusing on the home buying process. We had an inspector on, we had a mortgage broker on. Next week, we're going to have an appraiser on. We had a lawyer on to talk us, give us a perspective of, real estate from his angle, the legal angle. Today we're going to take a little break from that. I felt like it was a fun time to do an episode on for sale by owner versus using a realtor. So, by the way, I am a licensed realtor, so all the stuff that I'm telling you comes from experience and the knowledge that I've learned throughout my time being a realtor. But, there are plenty of FSBOs out there. And by the way, FSBO is for sale by owner. There are a lot of FSBOs out there because the market is so hot and it's a seller's market here in Juneau. And so a lot of people feel that they can sell the houses on their own, and you can. I mean, to be honest, you absolutely could. Some of the pros of selling a house your own is that you get to save on the realtor's fees, which is significant. Our standard here in Juneau is 4 to 5%. I don't do math really quickly, but if you had $100,000 house and it was 4%, then you'd pay out $4,000. So every $100,000, you're paying out $4,000. So if you had a $300,000 house, you're paying out $12,000. That's not in your pocket; it's going to the realtors. So I totally understand that saving on commission. Another thing that a lot of people like to benefit from is that they have full control. So you have control over your price, which is really nice. So if when you're a client and you have a realtor, you almost, if you don't agree on the price, you almost are negotiating the price with the realtor. So, because that realtor is wanting to bring you to a spot where they know it can sell, and perhaps you feel like it can sell for higher, and it could, especially right now. I've seen things go for higher than I thought that they would go. But there are tons of buyers out there and so few listings. So that's one benefit of doing for sale by owners. You have complete control over what is happening. And also things that people don't really like bothering with are the showings. You have complete control over showings. If you're listing your house, you can say, hey, I'm only doing showings on Fridays, you might not get as many buyers in there, but you're not being as inconvenienced. Whereas I think when you have a realtor, at least for me, I want to get those buyers in there because the more people that see the home, the higher the price will be, right? So those are the pros of doing a FSBO for sale by owner. Some of the cons is that you're handling so much, and I don't think people realize how emotionally attached they are to homes, and also, you raise your family there. You had your moment right there in that corner. Well, that tiling is so beautiful. My grandmother picked it out, but that might not be appealing to all the buyers out there, right? So you want to make your house as appealing to the largest amount of people as possible, right? You have, a purple interior, not as many people are going to be as excited about that house. I forget what I was talking about, actually, but just to throw out a few numbers out there, 36% of FSBOs actually end up with a realtor. Now, these are numbers that are given to us that I found on Zillow. And for all the FSBOs that are out there in America, only 11% of them actually sell the houses on their own. And I think it's because it is so complicated. So not only do you have this emotional attachment as to how high the price should be, what the house should look like, you also have to negotiate all of the paperwork and know, for here, Alaska law as far as real estate goes. I just had somebody who wanted to, put in an offer, and I don't want to say too much just in case he watches, but he wanted to put in an offer and use his own contract, but there was no earnest money there, right? So, but contracts are not valid here in Alaska for real estate unless there is earnest money there. It's not binding. You can just go willy-nilly and you're not held to it. Okay, so it's really nice to have someone who has the experience, who knows the contracts and knows Alaska law and how it pertains to real estate. And that's something that a realtor gives you. And that's probably why only 11% of people in America are actually successful in selling their homes. So a few of the pluses for having a realtor is that, they take all of that load, that heavy load, and all the decisions that have to be made off your back. You still do have to prepare your home. You're going to have to do the work, but now you have somebody telling you what to do and how to do it. Even though we're bossy and we're telling you what to do, we're making it as commercial and as sellable as possible. We want the pie of the amount of people, the percentage of the amount of people that it appeals to be as large as possible. And having the experience of selling homes as much, we have that knowledge. Also, what's really good and one of the most important things is knowing the market value of your home. It's really tough when you have your neighbor who sold their home for $400,000 and you want to sell yours for $400,000, but this house actually has upgrades. This house has hardwood floors, it has a larger yard, they actually did some landscaping, but your house didn't do that. You didn't do that to your house, and so it may not be worth as much, or perhaps it's the other way around. You did some upgrading, and you're selling it as much as your neighbor sold it for, but it should be for a higher price. The market value of your home is much higher. So realtors have the most accurate information as far as how what houses are selling for. So we can, if it's not there, we can call an appraiser and say, hey, what happened with this house? I need some comps. I need to get this accomplished. We just have a lot more resources than almost any other profession here in town. And that's a great tool to have in your toolbox, because when your house is priced too high, you don't have enough customers coming to look at your house. And if it's priced too low, well, you just lose money. So that's not what we're going for here. Also, when you're using a realtor, you have ready buyers. Those buyers are coming in, they are pre-qualified. So if I'm listing a house, the buyers are working with another agent, and that buyer's agent is making sure that their client is ready to go. Especially right now, I might show a house and somebody might not be pre-qualified, but we're not putting in an offer unless you're ready to go. Okay, you need to be pre-qualified. You need to know what kind of cash you have in your bank account, so that we can have a really attractive offer. So that's something that's really nice, is that you're not messing around with people who are not serious and wasting your time. And let me tell you something, if you put your house on Craigslist, or you put it on, where else do people put it? Not Juno Buy Sell Trade. There's that other website, is you put it on, saying that you want to sell it, you are going to get so many looky-loos who are not serious. You're going to get lowball offers. However, when you have a realtor who's listing it, and there's a buying realtor bringing people, they know they're bringing in competitive offers, because they know what the climate is out there, and they want their buyers to win. They're getting paid to do it. So, I think that both are great ways to go. You can do a FSBO, especially if you have experience, but also having a realtor in your pocket is a really nice tool, really great tool to have. So I have a guest here today. She's actually one of my clients. Miss Pauline is her name. I call her Miss Pauline. And just to let you know, I'm about to introduce her, but we are sitting nice and close because we're both vaccinated. But Miss Pauline had a for sale by owner. She was selling the house on her own, and then decided to come and call me to sell her house. So here's Miss Pauline. Hi, Miss Pauline.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Oh my goodness, thank you for being here. So Miss Pauline had this cute house, so adorable. Everybody loved it. But Miss Pauline, tell me, what was your experience with having a for sale by owner? Like, first of all, what were the great things for doing for sale by owner?
Well, last winter when I decided I wanted to sell my house, I'm glad I had some good advice to enlist you in a neutral capacity to help me look at what does it take. Mm-hmm. And I found it was a journey, and I learned a lot. And I found I did like the control that I had as far as being able to schedule things or think how is everything going to come together.
And before you move, I just want to fill them in. So what Miss Pauline did is that she had a for sale by owner, but she hired me to help with paperwork and to advise her. Okay, so I did not have the listing, full control of the listing. She was doing all of the work. I just gave advice. Yeah, so go ahead.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we met all requirements, and I'm not familiar with what the laws and the forms are and who should do what and when.
Yeah.
And so that was great advice to definitely hire real estate, at least to that point. And then I put and first, this is Juneau, so I had a few people on a call list who said they might be interested if I ever wanted to sell.
There you go.
So I made a few phone calls and showed it to them. But it wasn't the year they were actually looking to buy a house, or maybe, something just wasn't quite right. So, that was 3 weeks, waiting for someone to do that. And so time just kind of kept going on, and I was like, I probably should get serious.
And the reason it took so long is because you checked in with that person, or this on the call list, each person you checked in with, and then they had to go check their finances. Then they needed to go get pre-qualified. Then maybe they were out of town. And then after 2 weeks, they'd come and say, yeah, I know. I'm not ready to buy. And so you had to go through that process. And
that was fine.
Yeah.
That was my journey too. I had a lot of things to get ready, and I was busy shoveling snow every single day, and I kept thinking, that maybe, come spring, this will all work out better. But then, so I put an ad on Craigslist, and my inbox blew up. I was amazed. Well, actually, I should back up a little and say, first thing I did when I engaged with you on a neutral basis was that you did a market analysis for me and helped me come up with a sale price. I had no idea. And I'd heard that it was a great market for sellers, but I didn't know what the market was, or how would you determine that? My instincts were way lower than the appraisal or the market value that you had suggested.
Right.
And so that helped me right there, is just knowing what the correct, or what is a reasonable sale price now.
And something else that you did that is unique, a lot of home sellers don't do this, is you did the home inspection. You did before you listed it. Yeah.
Well, I had an older cabin. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any big surprises, and I thought it would be well worth the investment. Of course, a buyer may want to have their own inspection done, and they can do that. But this at least gave me a baseline to know that things would line up with the market value, and what do I need to do if there's some big projects I need to do. I needed to know that ahead of time, not after you've got an agreement or a contract going, and then find out I have to do some stuff all in a short amount of time. So it was a journey to learn all these things. And I learned a lot too from each of the people who came. Although I have to say, I showed the place to probably 30 people.
Oh my gosh!
And I
so much work.
yeah, I that's a lot of people to track and coordinate and follow up with, and work full time too. And then and there were many people who were very interested, but as you say, they weren't maybe quite ready. And I'd like to think that maybe I was helping them on their journey to find their right place, and they were helping me on my journey. And many people had some great suggestions too, that I was so glad that they came to see the place, and I got to hear that and think all these things through.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And like you said, that's really interesting the way you put it. Like you were just helping them along on their journey, and they were helping you on your journey too. And that's really, I think when you're listing with a realtor, they're at a certain point in their journey where they're ready to pull the trigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, I mean, there were some folks who may have been serious, but my place just wasn't quite the right place for them.
Yes.
There were also many folks who were tire kickers, you know. They were looking, but they weren't serious. And so I'm like, well, I just need one right buyer.
Need one.
But it could take a long time to find that buyer, and my mortgage kept coming due.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then
That
you know,
stop.
and then this, all of a sudden the snow melted, and then it was spring.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, well, time has flown, hasn't it? I should call Ericka and see what's the best step to do here to make this happen.
Yeah. So, you know, before we tell them what happened, you know, what is something that, I mean, what were the cons of doing the, you know, for sale by owner? Like,
well, it was very time consuming. And also, you know, it can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster when people say they want to make an offer, and then you wait, you know, you wait a while. And you want to give people plenty of time. It's a huge commitment, you know, and I wouldn't want to rush anybody. But just when you think, oh, I think this sounds hopeful, and you know, and then you might not even hear back from folks or something. And I also just really came to appreciate the organization that and all the hard work that the realtors do to keep it all together.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big project.
yeah. It is.
Yes, besides all the things I felt I needed to do before I was really ready to sell.
Right.
You know.
And as a homeowner, you have so much work to do just to get the house ready.
Yeah.
The tidbits here, oh, the drawer isn't moving quite right. I need to fix that before, you know, I put it on the market.
Yeah.
So you called me, and we put it on the market, and we had an offer in about 8 hours. Is that right?
Well, because as you say, you know, the realtors have people who are serious and ready.
Yeah.
I should say that when I put my ad on Craigslist, there was a lot of response from realtors and people who had realtors, but I thought, oh no, this is a FSBO, you know, but as you say, the realtors have folks who will make a competitive offer, whereas an independent buyer, you know, and as they should be, you know, they're trying to get the best deal they can.
Well, yeah.
But the seller is also trying to get their best deal. So, I have to say I was quite amazed with what this market here could bring.
Right. Right.
Yes, and actually, yes, I was very fortunate that the person was very interested and was ready.
Yeah, she was ready to go. We didn't even get through the weekend. So when I put it on the market, I put a deadline. We'll do showings for 3 days, and at the third day, you know, we'll review all offers. But that we didn't even make it. We didn't even make it. It was a done deal. So yeah, I think that you had a great success story. And now, if you were to do it again, what would you do? Would you do for sale by owner? Or do you think you'd enlist a realtor?
Especially hearing the numbers that you mentioned, that only 10 or 11% of for sale by owners are successful, and my own experience, I would recommend using a realtor right away, because it was more advantageous to me. And yes, it cost fees, but that was more than made up for by the seriousness of the buyers.
And majority of the time, I won't say majority of the time, I don't have the research for it, but what I've seen in my own experience is that you walk away with more, the net amount that you walk away with is more when you have a realtor than if you sell it on your own. And it takes care of the realtor's fees, because we're getting you giving you competitive offers, and that price just keeps creeping on up. When that happens. And honestly, right now, they're, really nice houses, they're all getting bidding wars. The bidding wars are happening. So, and that happens most often when you have a realtor. So, Ms. Pauline, in your journey, did you get some strange offers? Now, we already know, we've established that you had a highly desirable home. Okay, so when you were doing for sale by owner, did you get offers that were less than desirable or ideal?
I did. I got one, email from a person who said, cash for half the amount. And, I'm like,
right.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And then someone else who, just by their calculations, what they thought the value of the home was about half.
Yeah.
Too. And I understood their position, but I was like, I have all these other people who want to talk to me. I think I need to talk to them, because I have to look out for my best interests here.
Right.
Right. And the other thing about using a realtor right away, I probably could have saved myself several months and all the coordinating with all the other folks, which it was a lot of people for me pre-pandemic. During pandemic, that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm grateful for everybody who responded and their interests. Like I say, I got to learn a lot. I got to meet a lot of really nice people too, and wish them well on finding the right home. It's hard here in Juneau. This is a tough place.
It
for
is so
housing.
hard, right? There aren't that many options, and there's so many people ready to buy. But I have to say, in this transaction, unlike many other transactions, I came face to face with buyers, and it was terrible. Like, usually I just get paperwork, I look at the deal, I'm like, okay, so this, that, and the other. This deal is better, they don't have any contingencies, and they're offering more money. Let's go here. But I got caught up with, I accidentally was there during a showing, and she was one of my friends, and she was looking at me. She's like, I really love this house. And I have someone on the phone who's also a friend of mine, like, Ericka, I really want this house. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so hard. But as a seller, you have to do that. You get the face-to-face. You get to know these people and their journey and their life, and you hope and wish them well, and you want to be a part of the good part of the journey. It's got to be so emotionally taxing to have to make a choice like that,
Yes. Well, yes. I didn't feel very comfortable feeling like there was one time where I had 3 very interested people all at the same time, all very sincere. I wished them all the best.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to have to choose. It's a very interesting market.
Yeah.
I had no idea
Yeah.
really that it was quite that competitive.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to have, the more buyers you have is, you have a better choice of, opportunity to choose the deal that you'd prefer to have. Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's fantastic. I'm so happy to have to share this success story with you, because Miss Pauline, when did we close?
Yesterday.
We closed yesterday.
Yes.
so much fun. It was so
Yes.
easy, and it was kind of one of the smoothest transactions that
Oh.
I've had.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, well, because you were wonderful, and the buyers were wonderful too, and I think both sides were really interested in just making it happen.
Well, that was the other thing. I was so fortunate to get an offer that they wanted to make it easy.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time I was signing their contract, we get another phone call for another offer. It was more money, but it was a whole lot more headache and a whole lot more time. And it could have been, it could have not turned out as successfully.
It may not.
And so this worked out really well. I'm just so grateful that for your knowledge and experience. And it was an interesting journey to sell my house, but thanks to you, it was successful.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I had a good time doing it. How do you feel? Do you feel a weight lifted off of you, or do you miss your home?
Oh my gosh.
Or?
No, but not. I mean, I do miss it. I love the place, but it is definitely a weight lifted off that it's done.
Yeah.
And now if the sun comes out, I can go play.
Instead of getting up and working on your home.
Right. Yeah.
Or calling back, buyers.
Yes, and arranging for contractors and do this and then, all of the final things that need to be done. There's a lot of details. But, by having a realtor who can help walk you through that and make sure you get those things done, it's very valuable.
I think so too. I'm a little biased, but I think so too. And I'm not against for sale by owner. I think that if you feel like you have the capability to do it, especially if it's not your first transaction, go for it. And one thing that I recommend, if you have a buyer in place and you guys work well together, that's key. You guys can work well together and come to agreement on things that are important, then go ahead and do the sale, and you get the price that you want. I do always recommend get that CMA, the comparative market analysis, so you know how much the house is worth. Also, what I have done is I've helped people do those kind of transactions where I just do paperwork, and those two people negotiate on their own. They do everything on their own, and I just make sure you're not breaking the law. So that's also an option as well. But I do believe that, again, I'm biased, but I do believe that you're going to get the best outcome when you do have a realtor on your side. So I'd like to thank you, Miss Pauline, for coming out and hanging out with us today and sharing your beautiful story.
Thanks again for having me.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Juno's Open House. I'm Ericka Lee, and I'll see you next week.